Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in to talk about Higehiro, episode 6 and 7. Man, let me tell ya what, man, I was so into episode 6, because bruh, let me tell ya, that could have gone really badly. Like, I've looked at the manga before watching that episode, and the manga left me really upset, but the anime was so much better. They cut out a lot of things about that guy, and a lot of the conversation between him and our main guy. But let me tell ya, the anime did so much better. When you see this man getting smacked down not once but twice, it's amazing. And they could have really made, like, okay, just to give you the example, in the manga, it made it feel like it was like Yoshida, I think that's his name. It made it feel like main guy was a high school student. Because the way he spoke to the guy was just like, bro, don't speak to this loser. He has a horrible track record with women. He's an absolute scumbag. He would take advantage of a child, and he works at a convenience store. Look, working at a convenience store does not make you a loser. Everything else in combination with that certainly does. Especially when our guy has a significantly better job, has a position of responsibility, has a position of leadership. You should not be bringing yourself down to his level. The anime made it feel so much better. That episode, just for the beatdowns, and I guess also technically there was nice character stuff happening with other people. But for the beatdowns, yeah, that's a 10 out of 10 for Righteous Fury. I'm sure if I calmed down and like went through the episode, I could find something to criticize. But why do that? But Righteous Fury, bruh. I really enjoyed it. I love looking through the comments because there's just some really good memes. I just love how everyone unified against scumbaggery. Episode 6 was just so good. But unfortunately, where you have good, you end up later with some bad. And it's like, oh, the scales must be balanced. You couldn't just have a great time in episode 6 and have an even greater time in episode 7. Episode 7, while doing great things for the characters, well, we're doing great things for the story in that it increased the tension with Sayu, with her brother showing up. That episode was so stupid, man. And I bet if you've been watching these videos, you know who I'm about to criticize. But good God, man, that coworker is just the worst, man. She has the energy of the kind of person that after you reject multiple times, or you like, you gently say like, I'm not really interested. They text you like in the middle of the night telling you like how you guys deserve to be together. And it's like, bro, leave me alone. I have a wife. That's the kind of energy this woman comes in with. And it's one thing to have a character who is intended to be bad. It's another thing when this character is actually provoking thoughts in everyone else. And mind you, I like it when she gets smacked down, but the effect she has on Yoshida, that's the terrible thing, because it makes things stupid. Oh, okay, honestly, I have not disliked the character this much this season. I know I can go many levels higher, but for this season right now, she's taking the cake. Yeah, no, man. Whenever I see her, this is just cling to the max. I can't give episode 7 any kind of good. I can't give it any good talks because like it's too much. This is too much. This girl's crazy. Well, this girl, I'm good. Like I've spent the last 10 minutes just taking out the screen caps because I'm gonna go through this because the things that she is saying and the things that she makes Yoshida think afterward. Man, I really hope that's his name. Just bother me so much because it doesn't make any sense. Beyond a certain point. It only makes sense if you look at that one scene and only go along with what she's saying. But if you take even a second to just think about it, I think it breaks. And I'm going to give you my interpretation. Before we get to her, let's talk about the person who's supposed to be a scumbag, who actually ends up being a little bit nicer. Scumbag Bro. So Scumbag Bro, episode 6 did a really good job villainizing him. Episode 6 made it really just, when you have him there, it was so uncomfortable. When you have him there telling her that, yeah, we're just going to hang out at the house before he shows up. It's like, bro, we all know where this is going. This guy's sliding in. I'm practically hurting for the poor girl having to go through this. And yeah, I know people are going to say, well, they've slept together before. Yeah, it doesn't matter. She doesn't want to do it now. She's in a better position now. She doesn't want to get down with this guy. Nah. She's in a point where she's healing. She's allowed to change. So when you have that whole situation there, it's like, thank God Buddy Guy shows up and just lays down the smackdown, and thank God that the anime didn't do what I assume the manga and the light novel did and make it into a bigger, more dramatic deal. And I'm glad he kicked him out. And of course, you know, there is the convenience that Scumbag Bro has some sense of ethics in that if he does so, if he promises something, he'll stick to the promise. And that by episode 7, you have him helping out, which I think makes him feel a little bit better. But he's still a Scumbag Bro, right? Anyway, when you have him talking to Yoshida, when you know the guy's background, everything that he's telling Yoshida is like, your opinion is worth trash. Actually, trash is more worthy than your opinion, because at least maybe you can find something of value in trash. So when you're having that conversation, even though Yoshida, even though main guy, still has a moment where he kind of backs, like he kind of shudders, recoils, he still stands for what he believes in. And what he believes in this case is keeping Sayu safe. And when you have him crying over the thing that Sayu just had to go through, you know he cares. You know he's right when he says, if you're going to criticize me, you should have helped her in the first place. Because that's the right answer. It's to help the girl without taking advantage of her. Well, I gotta be careful there, because he is taking advantage of her. Like, again, having a person that's doing your chores for you. But you gotta be really careful with that. But you know, not taking advantage of her in a way that she doesn't... actually, that's... not taking advantage of her in a way that crosses many ethical lines. Chores is pretty low on the negotiation scale here. Man, this is such a minefield to walk through. Anyway, when you have that episode, you understand, and then you go into the second half of the episode, which focused on Sayu's friend, and that whole thing was just cute, adorable. You find out about the character. Of course, my favorite part was when she smacked him down, because he deserved it. He had it coming. So it's great that these two people went in and protected their friend, and it's nice when you see that little bit of tears at the end. Of course, it's nice that the guy isn't the worst in the world, and by the end of episode 7, he's helping. But still, what a scumbag, man. I think that episode did really well in doing the fallout and the setup and the big climax, and giving Yoshida things to do. And I did notice throughout episode 6, there's a lot of things about what Yoshida wants, which leads me into episode 7. This woman, holy crap moly. Holy crap moly. I just don't even know how to parse her. Do I think this is good writing? I'm not sure. I'm not sure because of the way that... It's not good writing because of the way that it interacts with main guy. But if this girl was isolated and not causing a big effect, I would take it I'd be much kinder, because then I know that this girl's intended to be stupid. But no, she's having an effect, and that's what makes her a problem. So let's get into this. I'm gonna walk you through this. One of my main contentions with this girl is that when she's ripping into the guy, she starts with, you pretend to care about others, but in the end, you always put the way you see things over everything else. Okay. In the end, you put the way you see things over everything else. Yeah, okay. You pretend to care about others, but you're still doing the things you want to do. You know, there's a big conversation about what the guy wants to do. For this first bit, she's criticizing him for putting the way he sees things over everything else. Okay. Is that a terrible thing? Is it a terrible thing to, at the end of the day, do things the way you believe they should be done? Is that weird? I think majority of people act by their own moral compass. I think the majority of people... He's a leader. He should be able to say, hey, I don't think you're doing this right. Or, you know, he's a team leader at the work. I don't think you're doing this right. You should be doing it like this. Mind you, if he's wrong, and he should be mindful of that. But when you have a situation with Sayu, as seen in the previous episode, where this guy is coming up against scumbags who are trying to say, like, yo, do the girl, because she's right there. Might as well do her. When you have him dealing with that kind of scumbaggery, do you not want him to put the way he sees things over everything else? Because other guy was putting the way he sees things over everything else. And you know what's the best part? This stupid lady was putting the way she sees things over everything else. You have her quite literally at the end of the whole sequence saying, anyway, I want your contact info, so I forced you to give it to me. What? You complained at him about putting the way he sees things over everything else, and in the same breath, you're saying you forced him to give you his contact information. How can you say that in the same sequence? That is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. This girl is horrific. And again, you know, it's getting me really spirited. So props to the author for that. But of course, the things that she makes Yoshida think afterward, that's where the problem is, because she's stupid. Really, my hero in the episode is freaking Gotou. And we go into her scene. When you go into her scene, what ends up happening? Gotou is there. Maybe she's being a bit too passive, but the thing she's saying is actually pretty reasonable. She's saying, like, you know, I don't think we should force this. I think we need to give him time to understand what he feels. Because if I'm going to be the... I understand what Gotou is saying. She's saying, like, if I'm going to be the one to end up with him, I want him to make that choice by himself. I don't want to force him into it using whatever manipulation tactics I can, because it's not going to be a healthy relationship. Gotou is saying reasonable things. She is playing the right game, maybe too passive, but she's being kind because she understands the complexity of the situation. Then you have Buddy Girl coming in there and she shouts at her like, no, I do not want to give up. I don't want to feel bad for not trying. And she shouts in front of the whole thing, and Gotou has to put her back down and remind her of where she's at. And this girl comes back and criticizes Buddy Guy for seeing things or doing things the way he sees correct. Are you crazy? You're doing the exact same. Do you guys get it? This girl, throughout the entire episode, is doing the things that she's criticizing. She is forcing the way that she sees things over everything else. She listens to Gotou, it goes through one ear, goes through the empty cavity where her brain should be, goes through the other, and says the same thing. What an... Nah. That is so ridiculously stupid. Holy crap moly, man. Yeah, no. This... Her line of thought is just insane. When she's berating him, she's talking about herself, and that takes away whatever credibility she has here. The guy at the end of the day is just like, okay, whatever. Here. This is the worst kind of cling. I don't care about her. And you know, when she's talking about, let me get the right word here. Does that mean there's no point in trying? Because even if you worked hard to get what you want, you may lose it someday. I'm much more scared of losing the things I could have had because I didn't do anything. I get it. You want to take your shot? Take your shot. But don't be... You're forcing it. You're 100% forcing it. You forced him to give your contact info because he didn't want to give it to you. This girl is just... She's seeing everyone else actually be somewhere in this guy's heart. She comes in as a coworker and she's like, yo, I want to be your best friend in the world. Come on. Give me your number. We're like that now. We're super friendly like that. Come on, give me... She's forcing things. Everything about her is forcing things. Again, if the author is doing this on purpose, way to go. Because this girl sucks. But it's again the problems with how it relates to Yoshida. And then she even says stuff like, oh, you do things, you're like a little kid, you try to do what people tell you. No, he doesn't. He does not try to do what people tell him to do. Not at all. This guy, like, nah. If he tries to do what people tell you, he would have been like engaging with scumbaggery. Which leads me to the other thing. Like, this woman is just stupid. She says it's not right to decide everything by your own standards. His standards are the only thing protecting that girl right now. And then she goes in, you pretend to care about others. He does not pretend to care about others. Right now, he most certainly does care about at least one person in this entire plot. And when you come down to it, when she's saying you pretend to care about others, she's really saying you pretend to care about me. That's the kind of energy she has. But the problem here is afterward, the guy is having his little moment there with Sayu when they're eating the donburi or whatever, or katsudon or whatever. And he's saying, I've made a lot of choices to help Sayu. At least I thought I had, but was I just doing the things I wanted to do? And this is where... This is why you can't have stupid characters inciting drama, because then in order to make the drama continue, it dumbs down other characters and it betrays things that they said in the previous episode. The previous episode was all about Yoshida saying, I want this, I want that, I want you to be like this, I want to be a good person, I don't want to teach her things. The entire episode is about things that he wants to do, right? He knows what he wants to do. You know, he understands why he wants to do it. He's saying they all hurt you and didn't think anything was wrong. He's right to want to protect the child. So, first, before really walking into this, you know what his dilemma is right now? When what this girl instigated for his dilemma, when he says, but I was just doing the things I wanted to do, Imagine, this is the problem that occurs when you're a good person. When you're a good person, it is hard to tell whether or not you're doing things because they're right or because you want to do it. Imagine being a good person who wants to do the right thing, and you're having a moral dilemma because you're not sure if it's correct that you want to do the right things. This is the complexity of being a good person, guys. But I see that whole thing as an extension of that woman's horrible scene. Anyway, the other thing from episode 6 that is the biggest clincher is because this man is an adult. He is not a teenager. He has had a good run of adult experiences. He kills himself at the office. He goes on business trips. He leads a team. This man has experienced a good chunk of life. In the previous episode, after having that really emotional moment with Scumbag Mcgee, he says to Sayu at the end, "I don't know if I'm doing this for you or me anymore." When you have a character recognizing that he's not sure where his motivation is coming from, he doesn't know if he's doing it for his own self-satisfaction or for his own moral compass, or if he's doing it for the sake of Sayu's heart, you can't have him then later fall to the criticisms of this random worker who is forcing herself into his life, who wants his attention. You can't have him just come in and question, was I just doing the things I wanted to do? How can you have these two scenes happening one after the other and have him going like... The thing is, he takes a step backward. He's acknowledged that he's not sure for what sake he's doing things, and then that scene just muddies everything up, because at the end of the day, the man is a good person, and it all comes back down to this girl, right? She can say that putting the way he sees things over everything else is incorrect. She can say that all she wants, but everyone does it. Everyone's doing it, and by far, of the people doing that, Yoshida is the nicest person of them all. So that's ultimately why episode 7 is an absolute dumpster fire for anything surrounding this girl. This girl takes up way too much time. Her rhetoric is stupid. She's essentially criticizing people for, oh, you do things based on what you think is right. Imagine living in a world where you're criticized for trying to live up to your moral standards. Imagine living in a world where you're being criticized for staying your course when you believe you're doing the right thing. Imagine living in the world where your acquaintances most certainly are showing that you are doing one of the best things. Imagine living in a world where after standing up to one of the worst kind of people and helping a poor child, you're being criticized for only doing the things that you want to do, the things that you feel are correct. Imagine. And I know this girl might be saying like, oh, you know, you only gave me the number because you wanted to. But it's like, most people do things that they want to. To be doing things you don't want to be doing, you have to be in a really bad situation where you're forced to do them. God forbid, in a world where a guy has a good paying job, kills himself at the office, God forbid he wants to do things that he likes. God forbid. But yeah, nah, man. Nah. That woman is toxic, man. She radiates just insane stupidity, and it goes into everyone else. I don't take her seriously in any which way. I hope for the future Gotou just keeps bringing her down, because right now that woman is my only real defense here, because Yoshida is way too spineless when it comes to neutral people. He just doesn't know what to do. Like, he just kind of shrugs off, oh, hey, I love you. It's like, oh, okay. Here's my number, whatever. And then it's like, can we go to the movies? Yeah, sure, whatever. The guy doesn't understand the absolute hell he is walking into. This girl is going to be the worst. Again, this is the girl that texts you at 3 in the morning when you haven't replied to her text that she sent at midnight because you were asleep. Nah, man. Anyway, I had fun. That was really fun. I do enjoy that it makes me, that it gets me so animated, because I really need this. I really live a really empty life otherwise. But I really enjoyed that overall for episode 6 and 7. Episode 6, Righteous Fury. Episode 7, cringe factor to the max. I think this is another example of just drama. Like it's again her. Like in that previous episode where she was stalking him, and he just like lets that slide. It's stupid, and then here she's just making everything stupid. She's giving him needless worries. Again, I think it's funny that he's wondering if he's doing things because he wants to do it. And it's like, everything that you've done has helped this child. Sorry, you're a good person. Sorry. What you want to do, and you know, the spectrum of better choices that you could take, unfortunately, they're lining up. It's so hard to be a good person, man.